Police!
Caught in bed, the Chinese woman at the center of the UK's biggest ever cryptocurrency seizure. After several years on the run, police finally arrest Qian Zhimin.
The Chinese crypto queen pled guilty to money laundering, and that's kicked off a struggle over who gets to keep the seized Bitcoin.
So, how did she end up in the UK? And are her investors ever going to see their money again? The story starts here in 2014 in Tianjin, a city in northern China. Qian Zhimin set up an investment firm called Lantian Gerui. The company promised investors huge profits if they invested in their range of technology projects. This early promotional video claims the company used investors' money to mine or generate new cryptocurrency.
These were the Bitcoin mines.
An investor we're calling Mr. Yu says the company drip-fed him apparent earnings just over £10 every working day.
That made everyone feel good. It even gave us the confidence to borrow more to invest.
Including these loans, Mr. Yu and his wife ended up investing around £100,000.
I suppose we were just too weak to resist. They pumped up our dreams until we lost all self-control, all critical judgment.
Investors got paid extra for each new person they signed up, helping the scheme to reach every one of China's provinces, pulling in 128,000 people. The company's marketing targeted the middle-aged and elderly, partly by trumpeting its love of China as a nation.
Our love of country was our Achilles heel. That's what they exploited. They said they wanted to make China #1 in the world, to lift the Chinese people to their rightful place in the world.
Investors like Mr. Yu saw Qian as the genius behind the company's incredible success. Here, a group of investors hold up a flag declaring their love for her. One investor we spoke to said that in person, she was incredibly sharp and persuasive.
The company held events in glitzy banquet halls and hotel ballrooms. But Qian was famously secretive. She wore masks at large events and used front people to make sure her name wasn't on any of the company's paperwork. In mid-2017, the Chinese police launched an investigation into Lantian Gerui, and the payouts stopped. Investors were left high and dry. Several £100 million worth of investments disappeared, and Qian was nowhere to be seen. So, where did she go? We now know this is where she ended up, one of London's most exclusive neighbourhoods, Hampstead. She had arrived on a fake passport under the alias Yadi Zhang.
One of the first things she did, posing as an antiques and diamond dealer who'd made her fortune in East Asia, was to rent this property for about £17,000 a month.
In her guise as an international businesswoman, she recruited a former takeaway worker, Wen Jian, as her personal assistant. Messages Qian Zhimin sent to Wen whilst they were looking for a cleaner showed Qian was obsessed with security.
No photo, no recording, no video. Don't use the home network. Don't connect to the home Wi-Fi. Tell her these 3 rules directly.
The new assistant, Wen's search history, reveals a dawning awareness that her boss is not who she says she is.
China extradition countries. What is Money Laundering Act?
Before fleeing China, Qian bought Bitcoin using investors' money, which she took for herself when she fled. Using Bitcoin to fund a lavish lifestyle proved difficult, as she found out when she tried to buy this home worth £11.5 million.
So we're here now in the North London neighbourhood of Totteridge Common. This is the house. It's very grand, but also very discreet. It's ringed with thick hedges and trees. Now, when she tried to pay for the property with Bitcoin, her lawyers asked what the source of the Bitcoin was, to which she was unable to give a convincing answer. And that raised their suspicions.
UK legislation aimed at tackling money laundering led Qian's solicitors to identify a potential compliance issue with her Bitcoin wealth. One said that her boss had started mining the cryptocurrency and amassing coins just for fun. But a check of the blockchain, the public ledger, proved that the story didn't add up. Solicitors alerted the police, and in late 2018, they raided the Hampstead mansion.
Miss Chan was in a bedroom at the back and in a different room to Miss Wen. Very large house, fairly messy, and there was cash almost everywhere. Thousands of pounds, bundles of £20,000 here, £12,000 there, envelopes with money in. There was even a coat hanging up in a cupboard that had £3,000 in the pocket.
Hello, madam. Appreciate you're in bed. I've just got to record down your name, if that is all right. So, what's your first name, please?
Yadi Zhang.
I know this is wrong, but my impression of her was that she wasn't especially bright. Years later, knowing a lot more about her, that was an act, and she's very good at acting. So she needed lots of assistance.
Yeah.
So
DC Ryan's team also found a document in which Qian set out her dreams and ambitions, all carefully itemized and costed, some of them running into the millions of pounds. These ranged from things like buying jewellery and entering into UK high society.
Oh, here, for kingdom design. Well, I suppose that must be the Kingdom of Liberland.
To becoming Queen of Liberland, an unrecognised micronation on the Croatian-Serbian border. Ultimately, the pair weren't arrested, but Qian, seemingly spooked, disappeared again. She still needed to convert her Bitcoin stash back into money. And from afar, Qian continued to supervise her assistant, Wen Jian. In desperation, Wen turned to a now defunct online forum and found a stranger calling himself Ricky, who was willing to exchange crypto for cash.
I'm in traffic, about 15 minutes.
On one occasion, she met him outside a pub to pick up 20 grand for 2 Bitcoin.
Hi. Are you there?
Bus stop opposite the pub. I have a yellow hat on.
You mean orange hat?
Yes, I have sunglasses.
During a later search in 2021, DC Ryan's team found this ominous note written by Wen. Sadly for her, officers had already uncovered another note containing passcodes for Qian's Bitcoin accounts.
in reality, it was very basic. The impression that I get is that Miss Wen and Miss Chan didn't mix in criminal circles in the UK. So they didn't really know the best way of laundering, and they were trying to do the best that they could, which wasn't particularly good.
It's also in 2021 that the Metropolitan Police discover the true scale of Qian's wealth. They finally unlock all the cryptocurrency wallets found on laptops and hard drives they had seized 3 years earlier.
In total, they seized 61,000 Bitcoin, at the time worth nearly £2 billion.
Police officers! Wait, wherever you are!
Qian was finally arrested in 2024 in York after she was spotted on CCTV walking into a rented home.
Wait!
Police!
I was surprised that she was in the UK. I thought she would have left. Her passport indicates that she did leave, but we don't know how she got back into the UK. She was very meek. I went to get her from the cell to bring her into the interview room, and she was walking very hunched over, walking very slowly, very small steps. Now, bear in mind, I'd seen her on CCTV a couple of weeks earlier, so I knew she could walk normally. So this is all part of the act that she's trying to portray, that she's infirm, trying to encourage people to feel sorry for her.
After her arrest, Qian denied everything. Qian argued she left China because of a crackdown against crypto entrepreneurs in 2017. But finally, at trial, she dramatically pleaded guilty to charges of money laundering.
So what now for the Crypto Queen's investors? And what will happen to the 61,000 bitcoins seized by the Metropolitan Police?
The Crown Prosecution Service launched a civil proceeds of crime case in September last year, which will try and identify the rightful owners of the seized money.
The difficulty with this case is that it's very hard for the victims to prove their claim to the money. Lawyers representing victims have told us that only a tiny fraction of the total number of victims have actually stepped forward. And so last month, the CPS revealed that it was thinking about setting up an unprecedented compensation mechanism.
But it's unclear if victims would get back the initial value of what they put in, or if they could also claim the massive rise in the value of that investment, given the price of Bitcoin has grown around 20 times since 2017.
But the UK Treasury could also stand to benefit. Thanks to the incredible rise in the value of Bitcoin, that haul of 61,000 Bitcoin is now worth more than £5 billion. That's 3 times what the government would have saved through its proposed winter fuel allowance reforms.
Back in China, Mr. Yu says his failed investments led to his marriage breaking up.
I owed a lot of money. I was afraid it would ruin my son's future, so I gave up custody of him and took on all the debt myself. Sometimes I had no money to buy food. I remember I bought a box of instant noodles and lived on that for 15 days.
In 2022, some of Qian's investors called on the Chinese government to make good their losses. They're now calling on the UK government.
We all read Sherlock Holmes, and that's still the image of the ultimate detective. To find all this Bitcoin, we are very grateful. We hope we get our money back. That's our great hope. To save the victims who are struggling and suffering would be a noble act.
So is it possible that there's any of this Bitcoin that's still kind of out there and that hasn't been identified and seized yet?
Yes. We've got a wallet with 20,008 Bitcoins that in Miss Chan's notebook says lost. And those 20,008 Bitcoins haven't moved since 2017.
And what would that be worth nowadays?
Well, we'll go for $1.5 billion, something like that.
$1.5 billion lost just in the wind.
Yeah.